What's going on, guys? Welcome to Conversations with Heath and Tracy. You want me to move over?
Yes, I have a. You weren't here. He wasn't here when I was setting up everything, which is usual.
It's okay, baby.
So he's not in the screen. I'm so sorry.
We meet here every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to demystify your relocation to the DMV. Go ahead.
So ask us anything.
I don't want to say that, but that's fine.
Why don't you want to say that?
So ask us anything.
Okay. If you have a question, type in all caps. That way we'll see it. I'm going to see if the comments going to come in today, y'all. I've been on the struggle bus with the comments coming in. I might have to do it the old-fashioned way.
Comment game not strong.
But, and he don't help. So there. So put a Q in front of it, and we'll know. We'll see. We'll see that that's a question, okay? Okay. So what are we talking about today, baby?
Hey, if you're thinking about the DMV, we want to help.
Yes, we want to help you. We want to help you.
Holler at us, drop a comment, reach out to us.
We're discussing.
What are we talking about today?
Tysons, Virginia.
Tysons Corner.
No, it's not. It's not Tysons Corner anymore.
I grew up with Tysons Corner.
But it's not Tysons Corner anymore.
All right, that's fine.
It's called Tysons, Virginia.
Tysons, Virginia. Not too far from where we live now.
And what's going on in the DMV?
Yeah, what happened in the DMV this week? We're going to talk about that.
Because it's different when you live here. I know y'all see the national news and everything, but it's different when you live here.
Yep, the inside the beltway.
And then what we're going to talk about as far as mindset is, will moving make me happy?
Right. Yeah, go through those reasons for moving. Will it make you happy? Is it you or is it the move?
Oh, let's find out. Get your pen and your paper. And then...
Hey, if this was your first time here, I am Heath.
And I'm Tracy.
Tracy and I are parents, podcasters, and we've been married for 30 years. If you want some positivity and an upbeat vibe in your Saturday, join us right here every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're talking about the DMV.
And if you want to hear more about the DMV and what's going on in the DMV and should I move to the DMV and why should I move to the DMV? Subscribe.
Yeah, hit the button.
If not, that's cool too. You just catch us when you catch us.
There you go. That's what's up. So if you're new here, make sure you type new you.
That's Heath's thing. Y'all can just type new.
Type new you in the comments so we know that you are new to the Heath and Tracy.
So let us know which one you like. Do you like new you? Or do you like just new?
Some people go, hey, new subby, or new to the show, or,
Just make sure the word new is in there.
Hey, we want to engage with you. We want to reach out to you, touch base with you in the comments. So make sure you type new in the comments.
All right. I'm trying to see the comments now.
All right, cool, baby. I think this is usually when you do
I say what? I say, welcome to Conversations with Heath and Tracy.
No.
What?
This is when you play the intro.
But I have to say this first. Or do you say it?
No, you say it after.
No, you say it first. Welcome to Conversation.
It's our show, honestly, so we can say whenever we want.
What do I say?
You gonna play the intro? Tysons is not very far from here. It's a suburb of Washington, D.C., with a population of about 23,000 people.
It's growing.
It's growing.
It's really growing,
It's growing
y'all.
at about 36%.
It's like we go there almost every week. When I go somewhere, I pretty much go to Tysons.
Yeah.
And
is that data point 36% year over year, or is that just sort of kind of projected growth over a certain time?
It's growing at about 36% over 10 years.
Over the last 10 years. Yeah, that makes sense.
10 years.
Yeah, Tysons is bustling, man. I mean, it's like you got all kind of tall buildings and shopping, beautiful malls, and a lot of real cool stuff in Tysons. So Tysons is also in Fairfax County, which is one of the best places to live in Virginia. I think that's on a lot of lists in terms of best places to live.
Yep.
Most residents actually rent in Tysons, so that's a really interesting data point. Lots of restaurants, coffee shops, parks, A lot of young professionals live in Tysons, and residents tend to kind of lean liberal from a political perspective, right? You know, most people in America are kind of center right or center left, right? So Tysons folks are more center left. So it's about 16 miles outside of Washington D.C. And if you're in Washington D.C., it takes about 20 minutes to get there with no traffic. And the schools are also very highly rated in Tysons. So hey, lots of pluses to Tysons.
I don't think we live, but we're going to keep going.
It says live up there.
I know it says live, but I don't know where we live at.
What do you think we live, baby? Are we live on Facebook?
I don't
Are
know.
we live
Guys,
on YouTube?
I really wish I could get the hang of this.
We
mess.
live somewhere.
We live somewhere.
It's all the way live.
Type something in the comments to see if I can grab it. Oh, I found it.
Yeah.
I found it. I found it. Hang on. Okay.
You good, baby.
I'm trying.
So you're gonna pull up some. So that's the map that you have right there is really cool. So that gives you a nice visual of the proximity of Tysons to Washington D.C.
Yeah, it does.
Right, so you can kind of see the center. That's D.C. proper. You can see the circle that goes around D.C. We call that
Beltway.
We call that the Beltway. Atlanta they call it the perimeter. You have different names for it, but essentially that's kind of the interstate that goes around the metro area. So you can see Tysons is just outside of the Beltway.
I see comments. Yay! Thank you, John.
What's up, John?
Thank you, John.
Beautiful love. Happy Saturday, man.
Happy Saturday.
Yeah, and so that's so that gives you a nice visual of you can see just to the right of Tysons is Arlington. That's where Tracy and I are. McLean is right down the road, and so Tysons is right there.
So let's move on to real estate. So what's going on with real estate?
So in Tysons, they're mostly new and high rises. The median home value of a property in Tysons is $484,000. And the median rental number is $1,848, right? And so those are reasonable, right? So just depending on your income and where you are and where you need to get to, I think that those are palatable numbers for a lot of people. If you've got a job in Metro DC or if you got two people working, Tysons is certainly a great option for you as it relates to the cost of living.
So let's see what's next. So let's look at some houses for sale. So the median, you talked about the median, baby. I'm sorry, I'm doing two things.
No, that's fine,
here,
baby.
guys.
Yeah, the median home value is $484,000. So just like any other area in DC, you're going to have some properties that are far above that, just as you'll have some properties that are in that range or slightly below, right?
You see the median rent, y'all.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, 1,800.
Sorry about that.
1,800 is the median for rent.
Yeah.
Right. And so, while that may be high in some parts of the country for Metro DC,
it's average. And Tysons is really nice.
It
it's
is.
Not, you can say it's gentrified. It's gentrified from the country. It used to be straight country.
What do you mean by that, baby?
It's not gentrified from the hood. It's gentrified from the country.
So I think what you're getting to is that with respect to Tysons, it is it's fairly diverse. It's a little.
I think it's diverse. I think it's diverse for Northern Virginia.
It is. Yeah.
It's not as diverse as Arlington, where we live, but it is definitely. I'm surprised at how diverse it is. Yeah. When I go to Tysons to shop, to eat, to move about, I'm very comfortable.
And we're out there fairly frequently, too.
Well, it's one of the biggest shopping centers closest to us.
It is.
And it's very accessible from Maryland and D.C. So a lot of, when you're in the parking lot out there, you see a lot of tags from everywhere.
Yeah, and we were talking with our colleague about that area, too, right? When she was considering some places to, some alternative to where she was. We actually came to
There we go. Oh, sorry. There we go. It used to be really country. It used to be really racist. I remember once when I was a temp right after I graduated from college.
Back in the day.
Ooh, I went out there for a temp job, and I walked in. My name was Tracy. I think it was Tracy Wilson at the time. Mm-hmm. Was it? No, it was Tracy. It might have been Tracy Turner. Okay. Either way, it sounds a little whichever way you could go. And they liked my credentials. They knew I went to Howard. I'm trying to figure that out. They didn't even know what Howard was.
It's okay, baby.
But I went out there and I walked in, and I fixed the gain on this.
Go ahead, babe.
So I walked in, and they promptly turned my behind right back around. And y'all like to talk about the South. Virginia is the South.
That it is.
But that was over 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Tysons is so different now. And then also growing up, my stepdad played for the Skins. Mm-hmm. So we had a second.
Now the Washington football team.
Ooh, I said this.
That's the old name.
I said the wrong name.
But that's what you played for.
I'm so sorry.
But that's who you played for,
baby. You don't have to reach into the mic. You're killing the mic.
But that's who
you're killing the ears.
That's who he played for.
So can y'all hear us okay?
Yeah, they can hear us.
Okay, they can hear us. So I went to
when you lived out there, and your
father, we lived out there
played
too. It was
football.
cool. It was cool,
yeah.
But it's so much better now. Mm-hmm. So if you want hip vibe, you want all the amenities, you want all. They got all the shopping. They got the Galleria. Woo, that's my favorite. Mm-hmm. I ain't spending no money there yet, but it's really cool. You moving the table. It's really cool, and the shopping is excellent. It is excellent compared to North Carolina.
Compared to a lot of places in the country.
Yeah, it really is.
There's some high-level shopping out there, right?
Yeah.
So, you got, Rodeo Drive type stores out there in the Galleria and in the Tysons Mall.
Yeah.
The high-rises, lots of new things, right? They got the new grocery stores, the new shops, the malls, the places to live, easy commute.
Yep. Metro
Rail is out there. So there are lots of pluses to Tysons.
Let's look at real estate real quick.
What's it look like, baby?
So we talked about that. Let's look at, so there are some examples of what's available. Mm-hmm. And the thing you have to remember about Tysons is it's going to be mostly condos. You're going to have some single family homes. But like I said, it used to be country. Mm-hmm. So the homes are older. There are some homes that are really close. So when you pull up Tysons and you're looking on Zillow or Realtor.com or something like that, put in McLean too, because that'll give you the same thing. Mm-hmm. The rental market isn't, like we said, there are your high rises right there. That's what you're going to get at Tysons. But it's really cool living because they're able to build high rises. You get some really cool views. We have some friends that live out there. They really, really like it.
Yep.
Let's go to the economy. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and tell them about the economy, baby.
Yeah, the unemployment rate in Tysons is about 2.3%, right? So the U.S. average is 3.7%. The average salary in Tysons is $78,000 a year. The job market has seen an increase of jobs by 2% over last year.
Really good in spite of the
Enlightenment.
Yeah. What are some headquarters out there, babe?
Oh, they have
Capital One.
There's some regional headquarters there.
Capital One is there, y'all. Did y'all know that?
Yeah, Capital One has a huge presence out there. Salesforce has a presence out there. Lots of government contractors have facilities out there.
Y'all see my Google Fiber cup? I miss Google Fiber. That is one thing I miss about North Carolina.
I think AWS has a federal, they have some federal teams out there.
There are a lot of tall buildings in Tysons with a lot of tall jobs.
Yeah. True.
It's almost like it's the second job center here. True. I really would say that. Salesforce is out there.
Yeah.
Google is there. Microsoft is there.
Lots of cool jobs. Lots of cool companies that are making their regional headquarters in Tysons.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then the average, the money is good too, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, $78K.
So if you work in Tysons,
that's average salary, right?
That's the average salary if you work in Tysons. That's the average.
Right. So lots of people are making a lot more than that.
Yep.
So hey, if you have some skills, you have some transferable things, you can land one of those jobs out there. Yep. You're gonna be sitting pretty. In the future job growth over the next 10 years is predicted to be about 36.7% out there.
So it's not going to change. Yeah. It's just going to get better and better and better.
Mm-hmm. And that's a bit higher than the U.S. average of 33%, right? So 33.5%. So the average income of people that actually live in Tysons is about $55K.
Right.
And the median household, well, let's see. So the average income is
Of a
almost
resident.
twice of a resident
Yeah.
of Tysons is almost twice that of the
U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The U.S. is about 28.55 a
Yeah,
year.
you need them dollars to live in Tysons.
Got to have them.
Yeah.
And the median household income in Tysons for residents is about 101,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that the U.S. average, basically, if you're in Tysons, you're making twice what you make in the U.S.
What about crime?
Yeah, crime's not bad at all in terms of violent crime. 13.3.
Ooh, it's awfully dark on this map.
13.3. Average U.S. is 22.7 out of 100.
Y'all, can we just talk about this for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about this, man.
So that's violent crime, and then property crime is 33.1%. The U.S. average for property crime is 35.4%.
So it's really people just taking your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you leave your stuff out, they gonna take it.
You might get ganked.
You are going to get ganked. And I think I've told y'all this. I'm on Nextdoor. Mm-hmm. I stay on Nextdoor.
Mm-hmm.
So Nextdoor is if you have Nextdoor, get on there. It's the neighborhood gossip. It's the neighborhood what's going on. People be on there getting in fights. It's better than Facebook. So the thing about Nextdoor is it tells you what happened to people. This happened to me. This animal walked through my yard. This happened. So that's why I love Nextdoor. So I think 2 nights ago, somebody was warming up their, or 2 mornings ago, someone in my neighborhood was warming up their car, and somebody got their car. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. So that means these people walking around waiting for you to warm up your car. So the dark red on here, beware. The dark red on this map, please be aware. It's not bad, but it's more, it is more violent crime in the darker areas. The lighter areas is less violent crime. But for the most part, it's property crime in our area. It's going to be property crime. So get your insurance up, and don't be buying all the cute stuff and leaving it out. It's just that simple. Don't be buying all the cute stuff and leaving it out. Mm-hmm. So this is the property crime one, just to show you. It's more property crime in the area than it is everywhere else. And we're still better than the whole United States. So people want to talk about the DMV and stuff. It's just not that bad.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot of people.
Better.
It's, you know,
it's just a lot of people.
You have about 6 million plus people that live in the DMV, and you add in Baltimore, there are about 9 million people that live in the DC, Maryland, Virginia, and then the greater Baltimore area. Right?
Exactly.
So I mean, for that amount of people, those numbers are, you really have to take that into consideration, right?
Yep.
So not really that bad.
So if you are liking what you hear, hit that like button, y'all. Hit the like button. Smash the like button. Bang the like button.
I like
Do your thing. Do your thing. Bam. I don't have no sound effects. I'm getting there. I'm working on it. Bear with me. Bear with me.
You're doing great, baby.
Hit the like button. That helps us. That helps us if you hit the like button. It lets other people know you like what you're watching and everything. So go ahead and smash the like button.
Even if you're on the replay.
We ain't asking for no money or nothing.
Even if you're on the replay.
Just hit the like. You like it? Hit the like. Say you like it. We like it. All right. So let's get into some. What we got here? So, hi, Naima. Welcome.
Hey, Naima. Naima want to talk about North Carolina. Naima said, I moved from New York to Virginia.
Oh.
But I want to move to North Carolina.
Okay, girl. Yes.
She's like, do you have any advice?
Of course we do.
Well, I think part of that depends on where you live and where you're thinking about moving to, right? So let's assume, and you know what happens there when you do that. But,
no, I'm not going to assume.
Okay, well, let's ask. You want to ask Naima what part of North Carolina she's thinking about moving to?
I don't think.
Or what part of Virginia she lives in?
Okay, so yeah, what part of Virginia? It depends on what part of Virginia you're living in now to what part of North Carolina. And then you have to think about why you want to move to North Carolina. And we're going to talk about that in the next section.
In the next segment, yes, when we get into the mindset game.
But
what's going to make you happier, right? So a lot of times when people are thinking about people are thinking about moving, right? And so they have maybe it's a job situation, or maybe there's family that's closer that can help.
But she going further and further south. I love it. I love it, Naima. So New York, as you can see, is very different from this area. Do you live in the DMV or do you live in
another part of
southern
Virginia.
part of Virginia?
Yeah.
If you live in the DMV,
Well, she might be on the coast.
Yeah, or the coast. So if you live in the DMV,
Metro Richmond,
you probably want to move to like Charlotte or Raleigh. And it is going to be even more, it's going to be less denser than where we are now. There are a lot of people here where we are outside of Metro DC. If you live in Richmond area, it's going to be very similar to Raleigh, you know. The thing about Raleigh is it's still very...
It's growing. It's changing slowly.
If you
it's
had to pick
evolving.
between Richmond and Raleigh...
Who, me? Me personally?
You personally.
If I had to pick between Richmond and
They're
Raleigh,
about the same.
I would say Raleigh just because
I would too.
I have a little more familiarity with Raleigh. And when the times that I've spent in Richmond, I like the vibe a little bit better in Raleigh.
Yeah, I like the vibe in Raleigh a little bit better than Richmond.
Yeah, and then and I think that having Durham and some of the other areas of RTP to flow to, if you're in Raleigh, I think it's sort of a cooler vibe than it is Richmond. Yeah. Now, having said that, there are lots of positives about Richmond as well.
Yeah, but she's moving to North Carolina. So the other big city or bigger city is Charlotte. Yep. Charlotte's a lot more diverse. Once you get outside of downtown Charlotte, it gets really weird. It's like, is the growth going to come here, guys? Are you just keeping the growth right there in your little circle? Yeah. It's very strange. And then the city is very segmented. I noticed that. The lighter persuasion, they got a whole different vibe going than the darker persuasion. It's very evident in Charlotte. Charlotte is a super segregated city. They get along fine. It works. You know, they got a football team. Yah, rah, rah. They got high rises. Okay, cool. They got a few museums. They got some cool parks. Yeah. But
another thing that's nice about Charlotte is only a 4-hour drive to Atlanta, right? So then
is it 4?
Yeah, 4 hours. So that gives you some additional outlets and options around entertainment, weekend jaunts, you know, those kinds of things. So.
And Raleigh's only 4 hours from DC, so you know,
right.
It's a cool middle. It's a cool mid-Atlantic middle type of city.
Very accessible.
Very accessible.
Okay, so we hope to answer your question, Naima.
I hope we answered your question.
Moving on.
Okay, what happened in DC?
What happened this week, baby?
Don't forget to like, y'all. I'm gonna throw that up there again, just so you know, just for.
Yeah, you know, like and subscribe is YouTube, right? You gotta let people know. Hey,
I want them to like it. I want y'all to like it. You can subscribe if you want. I know how that is.
My
That's
like
a little personal.
Sounds nice. Check 1.
So what happened in DC this week?
Well, there's some white supremacists marching in DC this week.
We didn't notice. We did not notice.
Ain't changed my world one bit.
Nope.
Didn't even move me.
Nope.
Because there's always somebody marching in D.C.
Yep.
If you live in D.C., it's people marching virtually every weekend about something. Now, you know, certainly the vibe is a little different since we had the whole attack on the Capitol and that kind of thing. And so I think over time, you will begin to see some things relaxed around that. And some of those things will get fleshed out. And some of those bad actors will be identified, right? Yeah. And so, you know, I think it's sort of like 9/11, right? Where you have to be cognizant, you know, there may be some different motions that people have to experience to move around in the city and to go in some of the different buildings and the museums and the Smithsonian and some of the government buildings and that kind of thing. But life will go on, right? And so at the end of the day, you know, this is America. We move around freely and that's how we roll. And so if you have to do that, have a delicate balance along with dealing with some of these new security measures and things that will be as a result of what has happened, and that's just what it is.
And they tell us when this stuff, sorry y'all, I'm having a power surge.
It's fine, man.
They tell us when this stuff is going to happen. So it's just not a big deal.
Yeah.
What's the next thing that happened in DC?
So, you know, you want to talk a little bit about statehood?
I want to talk about statehood. Are you not comfortable talking about statehood?
Hey, you know, I can talk about statehood because DC, you know, has long been looking to gain statehood. They want to be residents of DC, the District of Columbia, have what we call taxation without representation, right?
Yeah.
So that's even on the license tag.
That is their motto.
And if you have a car in DC, On the license tag, it says taxation
without
representation. And so what does that mean, right? And it's
That's
like
a lot.
you have 500,000-600,000 people that live in DC proper.
DC is larger than a lot of these states getting electoral votes out here.
Very true.
And DC ain't getting electoral votes. Well, it does, but it should have more.
Yeah.
It should have more. It's a lot of people in DC.
Yeah.
And they should be represented properly. They do have a representative, but she don't have a vote. She don't have a vote. So every time you see these votes and the Democrats need another vote and everything, that's why they're not letting Eleanor Holmes Norton vote. It's ridiculous.
Shout out to Eleanor Holmes Norton. So she's been doing a phenomenal job for
shout out. So she introduced the bill. She said she has over 200 sponsors. But it's probably not going to happen, y'all, because not right now. I think it's going to happen in the next few years, but I don't think it's going to happen.
But I just wanted to double click on Eleanor Holmes Norton just for a moment because she's been doing phenomenal work for the citizens of the District of Columbia for decades now. And I remember when when that role was first created, and Jesse Jackson was the Reverend Jesse Jackson was the shadow senator.
Yep.
In the United States Senate, and Eleanor Holmes Norton was the congresswoman.
Yep.
And they have been advocating on behalf of people in Washington, D.C. for decades now. And so I just wanted to make sure that I call that out, and so that people know that she is dope and she should be supported in conjunction with the conversation around DC statehood.
Yeah, that's very important to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen this time because of the filibuster.
And I know we're not talking about Puerto Rico, but just the sidebar is the same kind of scenario, right? Where they're United States territory and they participate in our democracy, but
they get shortchanged, and so does DC.
Yeah.
So the filibuster, because of the filibuster, you need 60 votes. So that means they need 10 more Republicans, and Republicans are against it because DC votes 97% Democrat.
Yep.
So it's probably not going to happen right now, but it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. What else happened in DC?
And they were talking about the National Guard thing too, right? And so when everything happened with the attack on the Capitol, the mayor of the District of Columbia was not able to enact the National Guard because they were overruled, right?
Straight mess.
Because DC, the District of Columbia, is a federal district.
Yeah.
And so while they're governing, you have a government, it's self-governing, but by the same token, it's also within the construct of the federal system, and so that overrides the people in DC.
Yeah, so the mayor didn't have power like the governors do. So when they asked for the National Guard was at the armory waiting, and they said, no, you cannot. The Pentagon said, no, you cannot go in. So they were denied. The federal approval was denied. So that brought up some congressmen saying, hey, we need to lessen the restrictions on DC Mayor Muriel Bowser and let her pull things in like that, because that was a situation that could have been prevented or could have been lessened if she was able to have a little bit more power. Yep. So that's what brought up the next thing. Okay.
What's up, Calvin?
And then another thing that's going on is because of what happened. Y'all ready for this? I hate this.
Y'all ready for this?
I hate this. Because of what happened, they want to permanently lock out the Capitol.
They want to like do a fence around it,
right? Permanent fence. Wait a minute. That's why I moved here. But the good thing is a lot of congressmen and the mayor are like, no go. Y'all messing with the real money now. Y'all messing with the real money.
You can secure these buildings properly without having
Get your act together. Right? Get your act together. We ain't got to put permanent fencing up everywhere. That looks crazy. It's so beautiful downtown. It would just look crazy. Yeah.
So I think I'm with you, baby. I'm not necessarily in support of permanent fencing around the Capitol.
No.
But sometimes politicians and people have to deal with the realities of budgets and threats and those kinds of things.
If you have ever been to the Capitol, you can't just run up. It's like really far away. You have to run. They can do better. They can just do better with securing the Capitol. And I think as citizens and people that live around here, we need to be able to enjoy it. It's so beautiful. It's so free. It's just to sit on the steps. I told you, we used to go on, hang out with our friends on the steps of the Capitol because it's so beautiful. And to have that just locked out because these idiots ran up in there thinking they were going to do something, it's just not fair to punish the citizens that live here.
Yeah.
We already ain't got taxation without representation. Well, we know. We live in Virginia.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying.
I get it, baby. I get it. Looks like there's another question there. Who is it?
All right, let's get into the questions.
Ain't telling new?
Let's get into the questions.
Is that how you said? Ain't telling new?
Let's see.
So you're looking to move, they were looking to move to Raleigh, it says. So my wife and I have been planning on moving to the Raleigh area this summer for over a year now. But since the world turned upside down, we've considered Texas as another option. Do y'all have any thoughts or experience with living in Texas?
So my dad lived in Texas. I don't know anything about living in Texas. I am so sorry. We do have friends that live in Texas.
Yeah, we got a lot of friends. We got friends in Dallas, friends in Houston, friends in other parts of Texas. And I think, Texas has been in the news quite a bit recently, right? Because this kind of exodus you see happening with California. Some of the larger, higher profile companies that are relocating headquarters and other things to Texas, right? And so certainly I think that there are some pluses to Texas, right? I think weather is fairly mild. I think you have, these wide open spaces. But as you get into the cities are just like any other city, right? And so the houses and the real estate is still like tight.
Real estate is weird. Real estate is weird in Texas. I am aware of that. Real estate is really weird in Texas. Property taxes are extremely high. They don't tax corporations.
And they don't have state tax.
And they don't have state tax.
Yeah.
So they get their money from you.
They're gonna get it some kind of way.
They're gonna get their money.
Right. So, but on the upside of not having state tax, right, there are several states. It used to just be like Florida and
Arizona.
There was only a couple of states that didn't have state taxes, but now there's several, right? And so Texas has been getting a lot of shine recently connected to that. But to Tracy's point, anytime you don't have state taxes, certainly understand that there will be some other things that will impact your pocketbook. Just like any other scenario, right? Go into it with eyes wide open. But there are lots of pluses to Texas.
So tell them what the pluses are to living in Texas.
Yeah, so I think from where I sit, I think jobs are fairly plentiful in Texas. So that's certainly an upside, right?
Housing is cheap.
Housing is fairly cheap compared to the other parts, some other parts of the country.
The weather is decent.
Compared to major metropolitan areas, let's say, right? So if you're living in Metro Dallas or Houston, San Antonio,
Austin,
Austin, right? Not nearly as expensive as New York or San Francisco or some places like that, Metro DC, right? Yeah, weather. Calvin's calling that weather, certainly.
Yep.
Right, so weather is fairly mild in Texas. You have coastline, you have the Gulf of Mexico, you have some recreational options. So I think those things are important too. I think another thing to call out too is the political infrastructure in Texas, right? So it's 2021, right? But Texas was a red state in this election cycle.
Weird.
So you want to just keep that in mind, right? So there's some.
It's a red state. Don't get it twisted.
Texas
they talking about turning Texas blue.
Texas has a tremendous history as it relates to violence against people of color and those kinds of things. So do your homework as it relates to that and understanding what that infrastructure is.
Do your homework. When my brother, who's a grown man now, but when he was being recruited by D1 schools coming out of high school, he was one of the top running backs in the nation. He was being recruited by some schools in Texas, and it was like absolutely not. They don't. You want to talk about a prison system that's archaic? Texas. Y'all think Alabama and Mississippi bad?
Nah, be nice.
Please. They asked about Texas. Go to Texas.
Be nice.
The other thing you want to keep in mind is how different the large cities are in Texas. Austin is super different from Houston, is super different from Dallas.
Yep.
You have a large Nigerian delegation, I believe, in the Dallas area, which I think is so cool.
Yep.
They are also in Houston. My biggest challenge with Houston is the infrastructure. Houston is falling into the Gulf.
Yep, and
it
floods
is literally
all the time.
sinking. The roads are horrible.
Yeah.
The roads are horrible. My daughter goes there from time to time. Her best friends from college live there, and the infrastructure is terrible.
Yeah, I think there was a big migration from New Orleans right after Hurricane Katrina. A lot of people went to Houston as an alternative to staying in Louisiana. So that also impacted the vibe in Atlanta as well,
Yeah,
right?
it did.
A lot of people
A lot of
were
people moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then Austin is cool. So if I had to move to Texas, it would be either Dallas or Austin. Pflugerville, I think, is a big place with us right now. Yep, great food is in Houston. They have good food. But the thing about I'm an infrastructure girl. If I'm gonna live in an area, I need to know that they are taking care of the area. That where I live is not gonna flood. Where I drive my car, it's not gonna fall in a hole and sink. Those are things that are important to me, and you have to figure out what's important to you.
Right.
So Austin is cool because that's where all the cool vibe techie people and techs are living. It's becoming something new, and we're tech people, so we would probably move to like the Austin area. There's a lot of money flowing into Austin right now. They're redoing a lot of the areas that have been neglected for so long. So Austin is coming up, as is Dallas. Yep. Yeah, I agree with that too, Calvin.
Yeah.
So
I've been to Austin before.
Tell us about Austin.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool vibe, right? And I think it's growing. It's certainly there are lots of things that are attracting people to Austin, and particularly it certainly is developing a reputation as a tech hub.
Yep.
And so lots of infrastructure and companies are beginning to relocate there. I think Oracle just made some announcements. I think they're moving a lot of operations to Austin. Tesla is doing their Gigafactory out there, and
so there are a lot of pluses to Texas.
A lot of momentum going as far.
If we had to move from here, I think I would rather go to Austin than go back to Raleigh.
Yeah, and so I think to Antellinu's point, I think Dallas, Arlington area, certainly lots of pluses there, right? You got the entertainment value and the Cowboys and all the stuff around the Metroplex, right? And so, there are pluses certainly to Dallas and Arlington as well.
But, Texas, go for it. Go for it. Ranch style homes are big. They are. That's how it is in the South. We like our ranch homes. Okay, so when we talk about mindset, don't forget to do this, y'all. I'm going to do this again. I made this thing yesterday, and I'm just really getting my feel of it. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Like. Hit that like button. Smash that like button.
What about a little music?
What you want?
A couple seconds of some music.
Okay, what you want to hear? Let's see.
Just hit them with song.
Let's see. Let's do this one. If you like any of the music that we're listening to, think about subscribing to Epidemic Sound. It's really cool. And they got a lot of cool stuff. Play a lot of stuff without music, without words. But I really, really like Epidemic Sound. So what's this question? Oh, we got some more questions.
Yes, perfect. That's Live, Love, and Eat with Rachel. So it sounds like Rachel has some questions.
Okay. To that, Rachel.
You want to do a question? You can bring the music back down. I was just trying to get the people a little.
Go ahead and read. Hey, Rachel.
Let's just reset.
Live, love, and eat. I'm sorry. With Rachel.
Let's reset the room, right? We're talking about Washington, D.C.
Heath is a clubhouse man. Let me tell you something, y'all. No, we got to do a pause for a second because, we have a podcast too, Joyfully Married After. But let's talk about that for a second. Did he almost get kicked out the house last night because of Clubhouse?
Look.
I was there, y'all. I was there. I was like, what the F?
Look, we're gonna tell you where that comes.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that on JMA. If you want to check us out on JMA this week. It's gonna be on there.
So Rachel wants to talk about North Carolina. She found us from my North Carolina cousin.
He's laughing. It's not a matter.
She said that they're moving there, and she wants our thoughts on homes around $250K, low crime, near Fort Bragg or Raleigh area, perhaps.
Definitely doable. Yeah. Definitely doable. You should have seen my uncle's house in what was the name of the little town?
So he was in. So he has the house that he built recently is in Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And then the other house was in Rocky Mount, Battleboro.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, y'all! 2 acres. Mm-hmm. With a little pond in the back.
Mm-hmm. It was like a little lake. Yeah, I guess
it was a pond.
Yeah, it's a nice pond.
It was a big pond.
Yeah. With
a pond in the back. 2 acres. I'm talking 2 acres cut. Mm-hmm. With a pond in the back. The house was a ranch, right? Mm-hmm. A 3-car garage, big old circular driveway, swimming pool. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna say he was right around.
He was probably 350.
Well, he was more because he's extra.
Yeah.
But you could have gotten his house for like $250.
Absolutely.
No crime. My very, very lighter persuasion aunt from California, when one family reunion we had there, decided she wanted to go for a walk. Now y'all, come on. The houses are all 2 acres apart. You on 2-lane roads with no street lights, no sidewalks, nothing but cows and goats. And she was like, I'm gonna go for a walk.
It's fine. She was very
Of course, our lighter persuasion. Love her. I love you. I love you.
Shout out to the family in California.
And she got lost.
Yeah. She got lost on her walk. She couldn't figure out how to
with
get back
no
to the
phone.
crib. No phone. Didn't have her cell phone with
My
her.
uncle was like, what the? Everybody, you got 40 people in the house going, oh my God, where is she? You know, we thought she got kidnapped. So Battleboro, Rocky Mount. So, well, yeah, a couple of the police officers from there were at the insurrection, but that's just the South.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool area. The neighbors are cool. It's a mix of people. That's just how we roll in the South. And it's really cool. So definitely, I wouldn't go to Fayetteville. Don't go to Fayetteville.
Well, if she needs to be near Fort Bragg, particularly, right? Maybe there's.
But it's not far. It's just not that far. It's just not that far. I would stay away from Fayetteville. So what do they call Fayetteville?
So that's
what do they call Fayetteville?
That's a colloquialism.
And what is it?
Vietnam. That's what they call it.
There you go.
So
Vietnam, y'all, stay away from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
So look, Fort Bragg.
That's what we're here for. We're here to tell them.
I understand.
Don't go to Fayetteville.
Fort Bragg area. There are lots of people that live around Fort Bragg. And Summer. I forget the name of the areas that are out there.
Is it Somerville?
No. But the point is that there's lots of affordable housing that's in and around Fort Bragg area.
He is so different from me, y'all. I be like, tell him what it's called. He be like, I don't want to tell him that. That's not nice.
And there's also, to Tracy's point, some other areas, right? Some of these areas in North Carolina are rural-ish feeling, but the great thing about them is that they're easy drives to these hubs, right? So if you live in Battleboro, Rocky Mount, it's only an hour to Raleigh, right? And so kind of the same thing with, to your point, Rachel, around going to Fort Bragg. You don't have to necessarily live
it's
right
easy
there.
to get around.
I think what Tracy's really getting at, you don't necessarily have to live right there.
Don't.
But there are some areas that you can live that are easy commutes to those areas.
Yeah, much
nicer.
nicer.
Then, of course, we have tons of content around Raleigh and what we call RTP, Raleigh Durham.
Yeah, if you go on the channel, you'll see a North Carolina playlist, and there's some different things around there you can check out. Yeah. Don't do Fayetteville.
So do that.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel. So y'all, when we talk about moving and we talk about getting ready to move, get your pen and papers. It's gonna be a little bit longer mindset minute.
Get your mind right.
Get your mind right. The question here we're gonna say is will moving make me happier?
Yeah.
Right.
So, what does it mean to be prepared for the change?
Right.
It's to know the root cause of what is calling you.
Right.
It's to know what you expect of the new location. What a move can and cannot provide when it comes to happiness. And it's to know that moving is not easy.
No, it's not.
In fact, relocating, changing jobs, buying and selling houses, these kinds of things are consistently ranked as some of the most stressful events you can do in life, period.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
It was crazy packing up 2 semi trucks full of furniture, but we knew we were ready for this, and we knew we were going to be happy.
Yeah.
So you can't just say. So what do? We think you should plan. That's the first thing. Like what you're doing now. You're watching our video.
Yep.
You're watching our video. You need to plan.
Yep.
And planning means asking, what is my motivation? What am I doing this for? What is going on with my mind? Right. Why do I feel like I need? Are you running away from something? Are you seeking a solution in a new city? It's going to follow you. You have to change your mind and change your thinking. A new city is not going to do that. And are you trying to gain happiness outside of your inside? You got to find that inside happiness first, because a new city is not going to do it.
Right. So let's get into some mindset, right? So before you decide to move, you want to maybe gauge how you feel about these
Right.
these questions that Tracy and I are going to ask, right? So gauge each of the questions that we're going to ask and think about, is it positive or is it negative
Yeah.
as it relates to as it relates to your thought process.
Right.
All right. So Tracy, you going to hit with the first question?
So remember, satisfying change won't simply happen as a result of moving. You still have to create. You still have to create the happiness, okay? And then you have to sustain it. So get yourself a pen and paper. First question is, what is the quality of life at the neighborhood and community level? What does that mean? The quality of life, okay? Is it trashy looking, right? Is there, are the people here happy? Do they seem like they're involved in the community? Is the community interested in improving its citizens? You know, I looked at a lot of stuff before moving to Arlington. I looked at local news. Look at the local news of the area you're moving to. Look at what's going on in the area. What is the mayor? That's the most important person to you. What is he doing about his citizens? So the second question is what?
What's the climate? What's the climate like?
Is it hot? Is it cold?
My man was referring to that earlier.
Child, we getting snow this week. Look.
Brother Calvin was just saying, hey, you know, it's a beautiful climate in Texas.
Yeah, so it is nice.
Think about those things, right? You're in the midst of thinking about where you want to live. You're designing your life. Well, what do you get into? What does the climate need to be for you to be happy, right? Are you a sun person like Tracy? Tracy grew up in South Florida.
I need the sun.
Right? So if I moved Tracy to Seattle, Washington, that would not work for her. Right? And so you have to understand how you're wired, how your spouse is wired, what works for you, what are you looking for, or your partner. What is your lifestyle going to look like? So, hey, you know, think about that. What's the climate?
The other question is to ask yourself is, how close are you to your social support, to your family, to your friends? If you ain't got no family and no friends there, or a church, anything, think about that. Think about that.
Yeah.
Is that good or is that bad?
Right.
Some people can be fine with that. Some people can't. That was one of the reasons we left North Carolina. We had family there, but I think really we did have family there, but once one of the main parts of the family passed, transition, and another main part of our family moved further away, it was difficult for us.
Right.
So we just felt like it's really time to go.
Yeah, yeah. So another thing is that can you be productive where you're moving to? How is your purpose there? Can you be purposeful as it relates to your living in that place that you're going to?
Can you continue to design your life?
Yeah.
That's our motto, y'all. Design your life.
Yeah.
Can you continue to do that? Is it going to be harder?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be easier? And then think about where you are now. Is it harder to do that or is it easier?
And another thing is that can you be creative? Right. And so this is sort of this age of Aquarius that we've moved into. The creative space is just proliferating, and you want to make sure that you're getting these good vibes from the places that you're living. Right. And so you can see how Queen Tracy is just like flowered. Right. She's not all grumpy and talking about North Carolina and bring your mama and bring your kids.
Bring your dogs.
So I think that's important. Right. Because if it feeds your soul, if it feeds your spirit, you're in a good place. With respect to where it is that you're going, you can be so much more creative, generating new lines of income, being happier in your life and your space, and so that's also important.
Yeah, I think it's important to compare the experiences too in both places. Have your experiences been positive or negative where you are or where you're going? I think it's important to figure out what your interaction is with people when you're there. I think in North Carolina, I just felt it was just a negative vibe all the time. I felt invisible. And whenever I came to this area, I felt seen. People actually speak to you, say hello. And, you know, I swim for my activity, guys. And when I was in North Carolina, I would go to a pool, public pool, very nice public pool. But no, it wasn't a public pool. It was a private pool, but it was a club. I think, yeah, it was like a club, right?
Yep.
Yeah. People wouldn't even speak to you. The only people that speak to you, the people that were, you know, working there. Nobody, people act like I was invisible. And it was strange. I just wasn't used to that. And then what I noticed here is when I go swim, people, hey, what's going on? Is the water cold? Is it bad? You know, it's like, wow, it's totally, totally different. And I love that. And I call that an experience. So my experience in living here is more positive.
Yeah, and that dovetails nicely into the next point, baby. Do you feel safe and do you trust the community? right? And so
yeah.
where you live, the vibe that you're getting from the people, from the neighbors, from the area in general. What are your interactions like when you go to the grocery store, when you're in public? Do people smile? Do they say hello? Do they make impromptu conversations, right? Do you trust the community, right? And relationship is built on trust. And so you want to kind of know and talk about and think about, do you trust the community?
Right, right, right. And then the other one is, will you be able to make choices, achieve goals, and be self-reliant? If you got to rely on somebody else, if you got to live with somebody else, are you going to be able to reach the goals that you have? I mean, one of our goals was for all of our kids to come home and live in the house with us and all be comfortable, because we were in the middle of a pandemic when we moved. So we knew. Oh, I'm sorry. We were in the middle of the awakening when we moved. So sorry. And why can't we say that? I just hate that.
It's okay, baby.
And so we had to make sure we were able to secure housing that was going to hold all of our kids comfortably, because they're adults. They're young adults, but they're adults. And we were unable to do that in North Carolina, whereas we were able to do it here, and everyone is happy. So you have to look at things like that and say, am I going to be able to take care of myself? I don't need to do this or get this extra from somebody over here to do what I need to do. Are you going to be more self-reliant? Which place is going to give you that self-reliance?
Yeah, yeah. So
access to healthcare. Access to healthcare.
Access to healthcare is super important, right? Because depending on who's living in your house, how old you are, what's the proximity of the healthcare to your place of dwelling. All of those things are really important, right? Because you can see with the things that are going on in the world, if you need to get some healthcare quickly, if you need to have some kind of regular regimen, maybe you have some kind of underlying health condition, all of these things come into play, right? And so what's the quality of that? Do they understand, know, and respect you and you as a person?
Yeah, that was the cost of living was really important. I think of the story of, I wanted a more holistic doctor, and that was hard to find in North Carolina. They have great healthcare in North Carolina, but I think the variety of healthcare is important here. Another thing I wanted a doctor of color, and that was difficult to find in North Carolina. There's a slew of them here. You all know the news and talking about Black women and their doctors, and it is the truth.
Yeah.
So I was very, very adamant about having a Black woman doctor. And I had one in North Carolina. Once she moved, it was like, what's going on? I can't find another Black doctor. Wait a minute. Can I find a holistic Black doctor, or one that believes in that? Because that's what I was used to. So that was a negative for me in North Carolina. It was a positive for us here in Arlington.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so, or DC.
So
and
like
then
3 more bullets connected to this, right?
So does the community align with your personal values? That's why we always talk about, is it liberal? Is it Democrat? Is it a red state? Is it blue? Those things are important. I want to rock around looking at MAGA hats all day. I just don't want to do that. I don't feel comfortable with that. I have nothing against them people. Maybe some of them and their belief systems, it's changed quite a bit for me now, how I look at them. But for the most part, I don't want to live around that. I love driving around the neighborhood and seeing Black Lives Matter. I love driving around the neighborhood and seeing those signs that said, here, we believe these things.
Right.
This is a comforting thing to me. So that's important. I see none of that in North Carolina, y'all. You didn't know who you were living next to, right? And then, is there access to learning and stimulating activities? Let's talk about something more than the mall and the latest restaurant and the taco that they got, y'all. Because that is ridiculous. Come on, y'all. There's so much culture in this country, between the diversity that we have here. We've got to start eating that up. We've got to start enveloping that in our lives to have full and rich lives, right?
Did we get into this cost of living socioeconomic piece, baby?
Go ahead.
Okay, let me dive into that, right? So what's the cost of living where you live? What's the socioeconomic stability?
Yep.
That's another key, right? And what's the employment security? Yep. So these are some of the kinds of things that we've been touching on as relates to Metro DC, right? And so one of the things I always coach and counsel people on when you're looking at take a job, for instance, right? If you're working in a certain part of the company, you want to understand where the company is investing.
Yep.
Where is the money going, right? Where does the money reside? So these things are very
Where
key.
the money reside. Can I sing that?
If you want to, man.
Did he trademark?
I don't
Where
know
the
nothing
money
about that, man.
Where the money reside.
But the point is that where's the investment happening? And so if you zoom out and look at your different geographical areas as it relates to that, you can see where the trends are, right? Where business is going to, where's investment being made, what kinds of pro-business climates do the various states and communities
this is
have.
Specialty, y'all. That's why he want to talk about
all of these things are super important, right? And so, so sort of to Rachel's question, right, is like I would feel better about living in Raleigh or living in a certain part of North Carolina versus living right around Fort Bragg, right? Because of where the investments are being made in the state,
right?
Where the socioeconomic activity is, those kinds of things.
Pay attention. Yeah. Pay attention to that when you're designing your life. Mm-hmm. You don't want to move to an area and have very limited opportunities, whether it's building your own business, networking with people that are like-minded, or finding a new job. What if you get there? The thing about us moving to Arlington, we were cool with it because it was such a big move for our family. We were cool with it, though, because we knew if this job didn't work out, there were other job opportunities.
Right.
So it was an easy do for us. On top of the fact that they were paying for it. So.
Yeah. And that was the same thing when we moved from Atlanta to North Carolina, right? Because we're in the tech space. My thought process was, hey, if it doesn't work out with this one company, there are dozens and dozens of companies that would appreciate my skill set and that I could easily make some inroads into and get another job.
And those were absolutely correct.
Yes.
So what were some of the comments here? Let's see.
Yeah, I think Rachel and Calvin were making some points while we were talking. So Calvin, I agree with you, man. It was very strange, right? So Calvin says he lives in Philly and he's used to people he's used to people not speaking.
Yeah,
right?
But don't get used to that.
Yeah,
it's not cool. It does something to your spirit.
Yeah,
it does something to your vibe. It's like am I invisible or something? Mm-hmm. Don't get used to that. That's why I love it here. Yeah. And when people are happier, they gonna open their mouth and say, hey, what's up?
Yeah, and to your point, Calvin, you do equate that in the South with being in the South and that people are nicer and they're cordial. And the Southern graces and that kind of thing, and certainly that was our experience in Atlanta.
Not North Carolina.
Certainly, that's our experience when we go to South Florida.
Yep.
Certainly, that's our experience in Northern Virginia, where we live now.
But not North Carolina.
But North Carolina, it was a little different.
And I think not
that it never happened, but as a rule of thumb, it didn't happen.
It was rare, so and I think it's because a lot of people from the northern states have moved there, and they've infiltrated a little bit.
Yeah. I had another hypothesis about that too, right?
Oh, wait, I was going to answer this question too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that I had another hypothesis about why that vibe was different in North Carolina, and there was, I think the history of the tobacco plantations.
Ooh.
And the makeup of the state and the dichotomy of the haves and the have-nots, or the people who are in power and the people who were the progeny of the workers. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of hit your head down. And yes sir. Yeah. Right. And so not that people still talk that way, but I think that the psychology still permeates through North Carolina in that way. And so you have kind of this mix of those kinds of people, to Tracy's point, with other kind of people relocating to the state.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of an interesting soup of a vibe that it worked for us from a financial perspective and for our careers,
and our family.
But in terms of how we were vibing with the area, it just never set well with us. So so Calvin, our kids, in terms of adjusting to North Carolina.
Calvin asked, how did your kids adjust to living in North Carolina?
Yeah, it was most challenging for our middle daughter, right, because of the time of life that we were in middle school. That she was in when we moved there, right? And so kind of just the beginning of middle school, missing her friends from Metro Atlanta and that whole thing. And so she was probably unhappy for a year, right? And so she cried a lot, and eventually she adjusted, but it was difficult for her. The boys at that time were younger.
They were in elementary school.
And then our oldest daughter was like doing her thing with
she getting ready to go to college?
She was getting ready to go to college and that kind of. So it was impactful really for our middle child. Yeah.
Yeah, they adjusted, but they still never loved it. They were happy to leave. That tells you a lot when you have young, educated, black children, middle class, that live in one of the best areas in the country, going to the best school in the state, go, I don't like it here. So there you go. That says a lot. That impacted us a lot.
Yeah.
That they were ready to go.
Yep.
Yeah, that impacted us a lot. We are we done today's show?
I think we're done.
But I did want to say, with all of the questions that we ran through, I hope you got some of those. You wrote some of those down to ask yourself as you design your life, as you move on to your next phase. The thing is, you can prep all you want. We know you're going to do what you're going to do. So do it. But try to design it a little bit, guys. Try to be intelligent about getting where you want to go, right? Yeah, it does, Calvin. That says a lot. But we want to say thank you for joining us today. I know we went a little bit longer.
Don't push it. Don't force it. Let it happen naturally.
You know he got to get his song in, y'all.
It will surely.
Oh, wait. Did you see Depeche Mode trending this morning?
Was that because of me?
Was that last night?
Was that because of me, baby?
I don't know. I didn't even know why. It was so funny. I was on Twitter and they were like, Depeche Mode. And I was like, why is Depeche Mode trending? And everybody was like, I don't care why it's trending. It's trending. It was just so weird. But I thought that was a little weird. Yeah, but yeah, we just want to say thank you. And if you enjoyed your time, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll be here again next week at 11 a.m. Eastern. Send your question in. Get your questions ready. I think there's a link somewhere. You can put your question in there, and we'll get to it. And join us again next Saturday. We would say we love you, and don't forget,
stay connected. Stay connected to God. Stay connected to your family, and stay connected to your spouse
or your significant other. Peace out, Heath and Tracy.
Heath and Tracy TV. Boom.